65%. So there you go.
His technique was graded out of 54?
Yeah, so when you're talking about giving letter grades, yeah, well, you're looking at D's and F's.
Yeah, so, that's just not.
If
Brian,
if a change is going to be made, I would say they would push Simonich back out and maybe put Brandon Taukeaho in at right guard.
Is there any reason not to try that, do you think, Brian? I mean, why wouldn't they give that a shot? Whether it's Taukeaho, whether it's Taylor, somebody, right?
Yeah, I guess for reasons that perhaps we're not aware of, maybe they wouldn't make a change, but it sure seemed like he was definitely the weak link of the five. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be surprised and we'll see a change, an unannounced change. Honestly, through the summer ball that I saw, Taylor very rarely ever even ran with the twos, which was surprising in itself just because he ran with the ones most of spring ball. So I don't know where the change was there, other than a few injuries to some of the offensive linemen. Albrecht didn't play much. Simonich didn't play at all, if I remember right. But, obviously the emergence of Jude Hockel has something to do with that. But, yeah, I would say that if they do indeed start Brooksby on Saturday night, that if the same thing continues, they've got to try something. They've got to. The Boise State defensive ends are going to be bigger, stronger, and faster than the Air Force guys, and they'll eat us alive. We cannot have another 40-yard rushing night. We can't. We can't afford it. Not unless we want to get beat by 30. We've got to have a balanced offensive attack, and we've got to have everybody focused to go.
And if that doesn't change, obviously, if Preston Brooksby goes running out there for the first series and plays, especially if he doesn't play very well, obviously, I mean, maybe the coaches think, or maybe the coaches do know more than us, obviously, but that says a lot to me about who the backups are, because if Taylor's not good enough, if Uluave's not good enough, Takiaho's not good enough, Forsyth's not good enough, if those guys aren't good enough, Cody Boyer, whoever, if those guys aren't good enough to beat out a 54% D, guy that's graded out as a D, then that's pretty disappointing. That's pretty disappointing that Utah State doesn't have a young offensive lineman or an offensive lineman that can step in and replace a guy, or like I say, he gets a stupid penalty and he gets beat enough times, I would think you would get pulled. If not that same game, the next game, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. That if a guy's a receiver or a quarterback and he grades out at a we'll take the high grade, 65%. That would seem like they would look into or consider pulling a guy. So yeah, this game on Saturday, I think some of those things that I think Utah State could take advantage of are really going to depend on Utah State. I don't think Boise State's magically going to be a completely shut down defense. I don't think they're magically going to do anything too drastically different. So Utah State's got to come out and take it. They've got to get turnovers and make it happen. So maybe they can have a good game on special teams. Maybe they can have a good game throwing the ball again. Obviously, that's one of the things that I was going to touch on as well, and maybe this is where we'll finish, is some of the guys that have been surprises, and some of the guys that are going to be key from here on out. The Ronquavian Tarver we've already mentioned. Rashad Lewis, Andrew Rodriguez looks like he's 100% now. Those guys in the passing game are going to be, along with Wyatt Houston, I think, those guys are going to be the go-to guys, and I think Utah State is going to throw the ball a decent amount, especially if the offensive line can't block better and can't, Utah State can't get the running game going. Maybe that opens things up. Maybe they got to go backwards and throw the ball to open up the run. So, is there anything else that you guys think we could see maybe a good matchup for Utah State on Saturday?
One thing that I just was looking at and looking over and noticed is that Boise is dead last in time of possession offensively. They only average 26 minutes and 25 seconds of possession a game. However, over 4 games, we're only 10th at 28 minutes and 12 seconds. So we've got to try and widen that gap. We need to hang on to that ball longer and keep them right at that 26-minute range and have some sustained drives. Something's got to give. Something's got to give there in between the 28 minutes for us and the 26 minutes for them. So we have to find a way to move the ball on the ground. I know I keep harping about that, but it's that big a deal. And we're not going to be able to do it running the bubble screen. Oh my gosh, we got to stop telegraphing that and trying to give the ball away doing that. We need to try and find a way to have a sustained rushing attack. And it's not going to be easy. Boise is number 2 in the conference in rush defense, 72 yards a game. And we didn't even get that far against Air Force. And Air Force is number 1 at 51 yards a game. So no one else is even close. Number 3 is San Diego State at 102, and then there's us at 142. So we give up twice as many rushing yards as Boise does at this point in time in the season. Whereas Boise has the number 6 rushing offense at 184 yards per game. So we've definitely got our work cut out for us as far as statistical matchups go.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting that I just noticed too that Moa has been the guy that's been getting a lot of the pressure on the quarterback and sacks, and he's their defensive tackle. So I don't know. I don't remember from what I've watched. Maybe they are bringing some different blitzes and different things. But it almost seems like Moa and McCaskill, those guys are pretty much just interior defensive linemen. They're not getting most of the sacks. So
what that would tell me. Well, what that would tell me, if your interior linemen are picking up the sacks, is that you're bringing pressure from the outside. So whether that be your outside linebackers blitzing, or bringing some corner blitz from every now and then, or bringing a safety up into the box, but you're forcing the quarterback to step up into the pocket. You're not allowing that quarterback to get out and roam around in free space. They're doing a good job of keeping the quarterback in front of them and forcing him to step up, and in turn, you're getting a good push from the front 3, and they're the ones that are picking up the sacks. That's what that screams to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. They're definitely getting a push up front. Hopefully, whoever plays the center and guards, Utah State's offensive line has got to have a good game, and obviously start with that. Maybe open some running lanes. Maybe, if nothing else, get better pass protection because one of my keys is Utah State's gotta they've got to kind of withstand that initial push. I think Boise State's going to be fired up. I think Boise State's going to come out firing on all cylinders, I assume. Utah State's got to hang in there, and they've got to limit those big plays, whether they're trick plays, and that's part of why Boise State's stats are kind of weird sometimes. Is they always they run those trick plays. They've got Spurback that throws the ball and catches the ball and runs the ball, does everything. So it's Utah State almost. It's probably a good thing they played Air Force last week because Jalen Davis and Danny Gray, they're going to have another great game with their eye control and their defense staying on their guys because they can't get fooled. The other thing that I'm worried about is Boise State is not afraid to throw to their tight end. So the tight end, for whatever reason, has killed Utah State this year, and it's I agree with you, Seth, that the defense has shown a lot. I think the defense has played well, and it's not a matter of scheme necessarily or even effort or anything like that. They just have gotten hurt on a few plays and different things. So it's I don't know what to think about this game. Whether Boise State's gonna kill the thrash the defense for some deep tight end passes. I don't know what to think, but
Well, like you said, Isaac, Gray and Jalen Davis have both got their work cut out for them. Boise's got two receivers that are right around the top 5 or 6 in both receptions per game and receiving yards per game. Thomas Spurback is finally a senior. It seems like that dude's been around forever. He's currently 3rd in the league with 19 receptions for 367 yards and a couple of scores. And then you've got a junior, Cedric Wilson, has got 12 catches for 219 yards and a score. So, that's good enough to get them in the top 5 or 6 both ways in both categories. Brett Rippon is number 1 in yards per game, 283 yards, but he's only thrown 4 scores. So, they're finding a way to kind of get things done on the ground. That may be a touch of an anomaly. Most players in the top 10 listed in the Mountain West standings, most everybody's played 4 games except for Boise, it really looks like, and us. So, Jeremy McNichol, the running back, 372 yards rushing. He's got 7 scores, so that's where a lot of their scoring is coming from, is McNichol on the ground. So the receiving, Brett Rippon and the receivers will get them close enough, and then McNichols is really the closer, obviously. So,
yeah, I mean McNichols is averaging 124 yards on the ground, and right. He's scoring a couple times every game, it seems like. So that's going to be a huge matchup for the Aggies to make sure they stop him. Everyone knows that McNichols was out last year. That was big thing last year, I think, in that game, just to kind of not let Boise State get going. Maybe or maybe not. Maybe he would have fumbled, maybe that would have made no difference as far as